Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coco McMillan Show. You may have seen her in Morocco, New York City, Los Angeles, California, Detroit, Philadelphia, Chicago, Las Vegas, Nevada. One of the background singers for Mickey Howard and the late, great Gerald Levert. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, the beautiful, the wonderful, the spectacular, Miss Coco McMillan.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the Coco McMillan Show, where we make it happen. I am so excited to be with you today. It is a great day. This is the show where we bring some amazing, amazing flavor to the virtual show, the virtual talk show circuit, featuring our national and our local recording artists, musicians, our local bands, our local organizations, physical and mental health awareness. We have designed this show just for you. It gives the guests the opportunity to come on and talk about what they're doing in their career goals, their product, their challenges, opportunities, as well as awareness. So we've designed it for you to come on the show and give us all the scoop. Listen, if you want to be a part of the Coco McMillan Show, please email me at cocomcmillan@gmail.com, or you can find me on any of the social media platforms, and we will make it happen for you. We want you to bring your experience and your knowledge to the show because we believe in sharing your journey. We believe in promoting your journey. Everything that you're doing, we want to be able to share it with our viewers. I say every week, millions of souls can be blessed just by your testimony. So we want you to bring that information to us. Listen, we are streaming live here on the IBM network, on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are on www.podtv.tv. So listen, if you're in your homes and you have a Roku TV, you can go there and download, add a channel, and add Pod TV Live, and you can watch it there in the presence of your home on your TV. So we're just so excited what God is doing. In this season, he's so amazing. I pray that everyone had a great 4th of July. It was extremely hot, but it was amazing. So I'm so grateful God is doing, even in the heat. You get me, even in the heat. So listen, let me know where you're watching from. Roz, I see you on there, Fayetteville, North Carolina in the house. Let me know where you're watching from so we can give you a shout out. Because listen, we have some great women lined up for you tonight, some amazing women. So I need you to go here and share the broadcast, like it, comment, let me know what you think. But let your family and your friends know that you are about to spend the next hour with your girl Coco, and she have the two top women on the show tonight. We have Miss Monet Holder and we have Pastor Sharon McCrimmon. And when I tell you these are two powerful women, you have to hear what they have to say tonight. So go ahead and share to your friends and family and let them know that the ladies are here tonight. Listen, and while we're doing this for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be doing a survey. We have the Olympics coming up, the 2004 Olympics in Paris. I want to know, who is your favorite athlete for the 2004 Olympics? Is it Shakara? Is it Shakara Richardson? Is it Noah Lyles? Who is it Sharika Jackson from Jamaica? I don't know, but I want to know who your favorite 2004 Olympic that's going there. And I know it's going to be great. So I hope you'll be watching and tuning in, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. You know that I'm going to be watching the track and field, right? Okay. Hands down, track and field. It's on. So let me know that. But listen, thank you, Norma. Hi, how you doing? Marilyn is in the house. Norma is here. So listen, I want to introduce my first guest this morning. This morning. You can tell I work very early in the morning. By the way, if you in the Cary area, 6 a.m. in the morning, make sure you visit me at my coffee shop that is located in the Cary Amtrak Depot, 211 North Academy Street in Cary, North Carolina. I'm there from 6 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. So good evening, everyone. Our guest today, very anointed, amazing young lady. Shout out to Raven Robertson again for making this happen. Miss Monet Holder, very, very when I had a chance to just talk to her briefly backstage, and I could just feel her personality. Very loving, very kind, smart, intelligent. She is the voting rights expert and seasonal political strategist, currently serving as the director of advocacy and programs at Florida Horizon. She is from Jacksonville, Florida. She leads the Voting Rights Organization. She's going to come to us today and talk to us about some of the things that she's doing. She's serving as the vice president of the Board of Elections there. She's working there in Florida, doing some amazing things, trying to help us out. So we want to hear all about what she's doing today. So can you please help me welcome my guest this evening, Miss Monet Holder?
Good evening, Coco. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing all right.
You doing all right? Good, good deal. We look like twins a little bit there with the praise. So listen, as I said earlier, just kind of reading your bio and talking with you just for that short moment. I already fell in love with what you're doing because I think it's necessary. I think it's great. Can you tell us a little bit about you first of all, growing up in the Florida area? Tell us how about that.
So actually, I'd be remiss if I didn't correct you just a bit, Miss Coco. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York,
Okay, all right.
by way of Miami, and have made my way to Jacksonville, Florida. So I'm a big city girl now, living in a smaller town, even though Jacksonville is the largest city landmass wise, but it's
Yeah.
very much country town, South Georgia type deal. So I got my footing and my roots in politics in Brooklyn, East New
Okay.
York, starting with my grandfather. And today when I came on, it's funny you mentioned like my spirit and my vibe. So my grandfather actually passed away this afternoon. So
My God.
energy is low, but
I'm
just in
so
hearing,
sorry.
it's okay. Um, So in hearing your gospel intro, it just gave me kind of like the peace that I needed to push through. And I said
Yeah.
to myself, I said, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this for this last minute, and it's to cancel. And I wanted to be here with you, so thank you for the warm welcome. But I mentioned my grandfather not only to honor his life today, but also, um, he's the reason behind my activism. And what I didn't know at the time was organizing work and getting into voting, as he was in leadership in his union, as he actually ran for office in New York. And all the times where he had us knocking on doors and going to community meetings, I didn't know what I was doing then, but I realized now I was advocating for
Yeah.
people. So he planted that seed in me, and he was heavily political. And one of the reasons why I majored in political science in undergrad at Florida A&M University, let's go Rattlers, and actually moved into this work coming out of being in a legislature and being a legislative staffer, and really seeing what the political climate is like in a state like Florida, which is
Yeah.
different from New York. New York has its own challenges, but when it comes to democracy and when it comes to access to the ballot box and voting rights, it is very much restricted for people of color here in the state of Florida. So
Wow.
taking a turn from my work in government to being in what is, a grassroots organization. I had no idea what I signed up for, but it's been a wild ride for this past 13 years, as we've seen, our rights being taken away, as we see attacks on people of color, as we see leadership that single-handedly and unashamedly say that they want to take back, the rights and protections of people here in the state. So my work is multifaceted. The organization that I work for, Florida Rising, we're an independent political organization.
Okay.
We have a couple of different layers. We do voter registration and voter education on our C3 side. On our C4 side, we do legislative and policy work from the federal level down to the local level. And then we have a PAC in which we endorse candidates who run for office up and down the ticket. So in elections, we have endorsed people for president, down to who's running for school board and your local city council and commission. My areas of expertise is, of course, like you mentioned, voting rights. I lead our political department and our legislative and policy, and then I also serve on our executive leadership team. So I'm doing a lot of things.
A lot. You wear a lot of hats.
Doing a lot of things, wearing a lot of hats. Been with the organization for a while and watched it grow from like a staff of 10 to now over 80 full-time staff and a growing team. But it's good work. It's grassroots work. We're membership led, so we take a lot of our marching orders from the people who are directly impacted. And I enjoy what I do. It's sometimes thankless and it's sometimes brutal out there, but
Yeah.
it's much needed work. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
Yes. So what do we and I know you said it's very difficult down there in Florida, opposed to New York. What do we do as a African American community? What do we need to do so that won't be taken away from us? Because I know, like before, I talk to people and they say, "Well, I don't vote because my vote don't count." Do you ever hear that? So what do we need to do as a community, Monet?
So I hear it all the time, right? And we hear it now even more, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
this is a huge presidential election year. And what I try to remind people is that take yourself away from who is on the ballot and actually think about what is at stake. So, how is your community going to be impacted if you're giving away your power for this person to run your life, right? Um, and there's certain races, like just to be quite candid and honest, a lot of people aren't told on the candidates for president right now, right? There's a lot of different factors coming in, a lot of different issues that people don't agree with the response of, our current president, or definitely don't agree with some of the things that our former president has done or is saying. But there are races up and down the ballot this November. In Florida, we have some huge things called ballot initiatives that people get to vote for, whether it's access to abortion or decriminalizing recreational marijuana. So you still need to show up and show out. It's those
Right.
races that are your school board races where your children are going back to school in the fall, people who are making those decisions, your
Yeah.
local leaders, your state legislature. So we don't have the privilege to sit this one out. We don't have the privilege to sit anyone out, because whether we show up or not, it's two things. It's actually a vote in itself to abstain, right? Because you're
Right.
giving
Right.
that power to the candidate that you likely do not want to see in office. But then you're also giving away your power to make decisions for yourself and your communities and your children. And it's not just for a couple of days or a couple of months. These people sit in office for 4 years, or
Right.
even when you
Right.
think about
Right.
issues like redistricting or the census. Those are things that are tied to elections that we have to live with for decades. So I just remind people about that, right? What's at stake outside of how they personally feel about a candidate or not. And most times, they come around, and then, just providing them with the information on what they need to successfully vote, information about, where their polling precincts are, what are some of the new election laws, because they're always changing in Florida as a tactic to confuse us and discourage us. So that's really a big part of the work.
So I'm glad you said that about confuse you and discourage you. How do you handle, because that's a big challenge, and especially moving from the New York area and everything that's going on in Florida. And I know you can't tell us everything, but how do you handle that? Uh, I mean, what are some of the things that you do to try to overlook that and just keep, stay focused and do what you need to do?
So a lot of it comes with like planning and strategic thinking. So it's both like on a personal and a professional level. On a professional level, we plan out things that we're going to work on, issues that we're going to tackle and pick apart. And we know that it's a long game, right? We
Uh-huh.
do power mapping. Who's in power? Who can make the change that we want to see, or who do we need to put in power to get the change that we want? And how do we really define what our incremental small wins are, so that way we don't feel defeated, that we don't feel beat down, and for people in community who don't get paid to do this work, but show
Yeah.
up and volunteer and come to speak in front of elected officials and legislative bodies. How do we prepare them for those sorts of situations, not only to advocate for themselves, but to keep pushing? And then, it's the same personally, right? How do you both have work-life balance? Um,
Yes.
you know, when you feel like I'm doing all I can and it's still sometimes not enough. And
Yeah.
how do you take time to rest? They say rest is one of the most powerful acts of resistance, right? When you rest and let your body and your mind reset, so you can keep the fight moving forward.
Wow, that's amazing. And the chat is just going crazy. There's so many questions. We can't do all the questions, guys, tonight. You got to go. But listen, I do like this question. It says your thoughts on Hakeem Jeffries as a national leader and your thoughts on DeSantis um, done there in Florida. What are your thoughts?
So as far as Leader Jeffries, he, I've watched him from afar, both just because of his name being um, in the news and him being an impactful leader and breaking many barriers through his leadership. He's also a close friend of my aunt, who's Assemblywoman Nikki Lucas in Brooklyn, New
Okay.
York. Shout out to my auntie.
Yeah,
So
Auntie.
so he is a supporter, has always been a supporter of my aunt, as well, and they partner in a lot of different initiatives there in East New York, Brooklyn. So I guess
Mhm.
my thoughts with him, he's an awesome and effective leader. Would love to see him step up and do even more as a pathway to really, moving this country in the right direction. As it relates to DeSantis, DeSantis is behind almost every layer of tax on Black and Brown people in the state.
Yeah.
His aspirations when he thought was going to be president of the United States really prompted him to kick it up a notch and do
Yeah.
anything he can to block access to the ballot box for voters that I guess he thought weren't going to vote for him. And he's, really doing a great evil job at stripping away our protections and our access to democracy. So my thoughts on him is that he's not, the leader for the people, my people. He's not a progressive leader. So
Hmm.
we are hopeful that his tricks and his tactics were able to, not always be on the defense, but hopefully stop them, or as he's
Right.
on his way out Yeah.
Right. And I guess my next question, this is a good question too in the chat. Um, what do you think about Kamala, being the potential president candidate? I mean, you don't hear much. Oh, it. I can't say much. Okay, I'm not going to ask that. Anyway, what do you? I think you know what I'm thinking, but what do you think? How do you feel about that?
So, I've heard everyone hears the chatter of, who else could be the potential presidential nominee. I think we're at a point in this election cycle where mid-July, the presidential election is in November.
Right.
We're not in a place in which I don't think anyone can seriously and effectively replace Joe Biden as the nominee. So that's what I always tell people, like, that's not a thing, right? So we move past that. In the event that, something were to happen and she would have to assume the position
Right.
of, commander in chief as the president, I think she would do an amazing job. Oftentimes we forget that traditionally vice presidents didn't do much. I mean, they were, figureheads, they kind of set and
Right.
support. And I've seen her really step out and stand up and speak out on issues that are affecting American people more than I can remember other vice presidents have done in the
That's
past.
right.
So I think to that, we owe her that bit of acknowledgement. Anybody can always do more, but she's shown us that what we've received in the past from vice presidents, they didn't do as much as they could. So right, I commend her there. And if there were an opportunity for her to become president, I think she would definitely serve well.
Yeah. Now, is that something that you're thinking about? I know that you work there in the House. You work with the senators, staffer. So, is that something that you're thinking about maybe in the future?
So yeah, running for office is definitely one of my future aspirations. Right now, I'm very there's so much work to be done at the grassroots level here, but definitely could see myself leading in other ways, possibly in office in the near future.
Yeah, because you do a lot, even working with the Friends in Need Center. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, Friends in Need Children's Center is a nonprofit organization. It's actually based out of New Jersey, and I serve on the board of directors there. But it's really an opportunity to expose children, predominantly Black children, to some of the extracurricular activities or the arts that they may not necessarily get from their schools or within their family structure. So, anything from golfing to basketball to we have a very large STEM enrichment program teaching children not just how to, get on social media, but really building and coding from the back end so it can, lead them into very lucrative and high paying careers in the future because we know technology is the future. So
Is the future exactly? Now, is that something that they have to apply for? How do one learn more information about that?
yeah, so you can go to fincc.org and see some of the upcoming programs and opportunities. Of course, some of like the STEM and the coding programs is limited to a set amount of students so they can get the best, interaction and learning experience from it. But it's ongoing programs throughout the year. So there's definitely opportunities for folks to get into that.
Awesome. You have been simply amazing. It's so much that I want to get into you, but we'll do it at another time. But so we have your information here running at the bottom of the screen. But is there any other ways that they can contact you if they have more questions, even about the program or about voters' rights?
Sure. So it's you can definitely go to our website, floridarising.org. You can send an email, excuse me, to info@floridarising.org. And any questions that you have for me, you put it in the subject line and I'll get access to that. And then you can follow me on social media at Monet. So that's MONE_holder.
Great. So any final words, Monet, that you would like to say to the viewers of what they need to do or to be thinking about for the future or just to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's how you started this conversation. This is a huge election year, and it's important that we get out to vote. Voting looks different in every state, every city, even every county. So I just, encourage you all to, whether in Florida here we have supervisors of elections office or your state elections website or database, find out your voting location. Make sure you're registered to vote and your information is updated, your signature is updated. You have what ID you need to go to the polls. Do your research on candidates, but most importantly, show up and show out on election day.
I love it. Oh, your spirit. I love it. I love it. Listen, thank you so much. My prayers are with you and the family. I really commend you coming on tonight. And if everyone that's listening in the chat, please make sure that you're praying for Monet and her family as she lost her grandfather this evening, and she still came on and still with a smile to bless us, to give us information that we need. So that's serving, that's ministry. Even with everything that's going on. So we are definitely going to be praying for you and the family, that God gives you peace, that He's with you during this time of bereavement, and whatever. If you need anything, please reach out to us. We are here for you. Thank you so much. Again, I love your spirit, your heart. I can feel you through the internet. So thank you so much for taking this time to share this information with us. And you can see in the chat, everyone is giving their condolence to you and the family. So God bless you. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed night.
You too. Thank you. Wow, that was amazing. That is Miss Monet Holder, giving us some great information about voters' right, what we need to do. It is important. This is the most important election ever. And as she said, it's difficult there where she is in Florida. It's different in each state. But what we need to do as a community is to get out and vote. Do not say that your vote do not count, because it does. This is the time. So you can't complain about something or say something if you're not doing anything. All right. So please make sure you get out and vote. Make sure you support Monet as well, because she has another program in New Jersey, reaching out to the kids in needs, giving them opportunity. That's ministry right there. So I love what she's doing. So make sure you follow her, support her, and everything that she's doing. So I see your chats and your comments out there. Thank you so much for watching. Gene Johnson, New Jersey, New York in the house. Thank you so much. Also, just to let you guys know that I am going to be there in New York. I'm letting you know too, Monet. I'm going to be there in Brooklyn, October the 13th at the Greater Rose of Sharon Church there, singing. So I want all of my New York people, all of my New Jersey people that's listening out there. I want to see you there at the Greater Rose of Sharon. Gene, if you can put the address there in the chat, that would be great. If somebody could put the address there to Greater Rose of Sharon, October the 13th. I want to see all of you guys there. We're going to pack the house out. All right. So listen, my next guest, a home girl. She's a pastor. She's an author. She's a friend. She's a mentor. She's a consultant. Everything. This lady is absolutely amazing. Again, from my hometown, Pastor Sharon McMillan. Been knowing her for a very long time. Matter of fact, they used to stay right down the street. We lived on the same street. And it's so amazing what God does in people's life, and the change that He brings, the opportunities that He brings. And Pastor Sharon has definitely had that. She has a BA from St. Augustine's College, a master's degree from Liberty University in executive leadership. She has a doctorate in ministry. She's done some work in Upper Marlboro, also in the U.S., also in South Africa. She's doing so much. She has a book that's out right now called Do It. She is the pastor of the Life Center, and everyone knows about my girl Terrell Harris, right? The singer, the basketball player, the creative kid of Fayetteville. Pastor Sharon is her pastor. Okay. She's the pastor of Terrell and Roslyn. So I am just so happy that she's decided to be on the show with us tonight. She has some great information. I want you to welcome Pastor Sharon McMillan.
Hey, hey.
I love it. I love it, guys. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. It's so good
Good,
to see
good. It's
you.
good to see you. It's so good to
I,
see you.
I
My
think I just saw
homegirl.
you a couple of weeks. Was it a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, at Carolyn's graduation, and
That's right.
and see, you didn't even know. You didn't even know this was
No,
going to happen.
did
Look at
not
God,
even
right?
know. Look
It's
at
it's good to see you, Pastor Sharon. Just introducing you. I know I say we go way back
God.
to we call it the Sand Hill. Is that what we used
Yeah,
to call
that's
that?
right. That's right. That's right. Ah,
The Sand Hill, the Heralds. You've done some amazing work in your career. Can you just kind of walk us through before we get in about the book and everything? Can you just kind of walk us through your career path?
sure, sure, sure. First, let me say thank you so much for allowing me to come and be in your presence. I am grateful
Yes.
for the opportunity and for the connection. And
Yes.
it is ironic that we have been connected for a long time from childhood, and it's just
Yes.
amazing how God just brings it all back together again,
Full
right? Right.
circle.
So,
Yes.
so I am grateful. I am grateful. Well, I am just a country girl. I'm just a country girl from St. Paul's, North Carolina, and I am so proud.
Woo-hoo!
I'm proud of it. I will never forget my roots. But
Yeah.
From St. Paul's, North Carolina, and then I kind of migrated to the state of Maryland after marrying my sweetheart, my high school sweetheart, uh,
Yes.
my husband Reggie. We got
Mhm.
married, and then we migrated to the state of Maryland and Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and there things just began to happen for us. We started a family and have two beautiful children, and we
Yeah.
decided, or God decided, that He would move us back to our home state, to North Carolina. But I must say that the state of Maryland prepared me for what I was coming back to in North Carolina.
Wow.
That's just like God, right? Being
Yes.
there in ministry for 18 years in the same ministry, Church of God in Christ, which
Yes.
I give my props to my Kojic heritage. Just proud to be a part of
Yes.
that. And so they trained us, prepared us for what God was getting ready to do, bringing us back to North Carolina in
Yeah.
2001, and God just opened doors. Went into ministry um, with my brother, Pastor Ricky Harrell. Um,
Yes. Shout out to Pastor Ricky.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, God put me in the place with a Church of God in Christ for about a year. Pastor Leak, Thomas C. Leak in Fayetteville, and those things were stepping
Yeah.
stones to where God took us in 2016. My husband and I, we launched out and began the Life Center. Launched out the
Yeah.
Life Center, and from there, it's just been a journey. It's been a journey. God has been faithful. He's been faithful.
Wow. And it has. I watched some of your the services online. God
Mhm.
is doing some amazing things, and you guys are you building, you rising. I mean, things are just
Yeah.
happening, Pastor Sharon. Did you have any idea that it was going to end up this way?
Let me tell you, God has a sense of humor. He really does. He really does. Because when I look back over where I came from, and my personality, quiet person, never a talkative
Yeah.
person. God has a sense of humor. Never thought that God would open the doors that He has opened for my husband and I to pastor and to be able to mentor so many people and to bless, be able to bless so many people and
Right.
be in their lives. That's I just can't describe how humble I am. It's humbling.
Yes,
It's
yes, because and I told you, it's funny like how we reconnected again was
humbling.
through Carolyn.
Yes.
So, asking my mom, because back at home, I knew you. By the way, guys, what y'all don't know is Pastor Sharon can sing too. Okay, check this out. So, I knew her back at home as Sean,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because the family
That's
used to sing.
That is
The
right.
family was singing everything. So when they were saying, Sharon McCray, I was like, my mom was like, the one that could sing. I was like, wait, Sean? And everything just kind of circled back. And
Yeah,
I was like, oh my
yeah,
God, this is
yeah,
amazing. And
yeah.
Carolyn and Rosalind connected us back. I know that I went to Pastor Ricky's church several times. We had a good time, but that
Yeah.
connection came about,
That's,
just being with Terrell. And we've had several trips to New
yeah.
York to the Apollo.
And
Guys,
yes, yes.
I just want to say this to everyone that's listening. Pastor Sharon has been a blessing to
Mm,
me. Okay, a blessing. I would never forget, the seeds, the sowing of the seeds, and just the blessing,
mm,
the pep talk, and just watching her. I'm sorry, I'm acting like you're not even on here, but when you watch a person and they're the same, quiet, humble, but when they speak, everybody listen. That's
mm.
Pastor Sharon. And that's what you did, on these several trips we went to the Apollo. But I want you to tell us, how was your experience going to New York,
Oh,
seeing a different realm at the Apollo, just seeing different things
oh.
on the subway, on the train that we took? What do you think about that?
Look, but we had a ball. Let me just say we had a ball. Number one, we had a ball, but we had a purpose, right? We had a purpose,
Yes,
and that was to support Carolyn, to support her, push her, be there for her, and but in between all of that, we had a ball. We really did, and just to be there to witness what God was doing in her life lit a fuel in my life. It really did. And I think for everybody that went, it was a great encouragement for us just to be in the number and to see how God could use that young lady and to
Woo.
be a part of what God was doing in that season. That's what I believe that's my purpose is to be able to push somebody else, right? To push
Yeah.
somebody else, to help somebody else get their dreams and bring their dreams to fruition. And so because of that, I just know my life was blessed by it. Just blessed.
Whew. I got chills, Pastor. I
Yeah.
got chills
Yeah.
because you're right. We were there for a purpose, the
Mhm, mhm.
assignment,
Yes.
the prayers, the fasting, the just what
Mhm.
went forth there, and just to see the great experience. And on, Terrell and the other artists was there. It's just, it was meant, it was
Oh my.
destined,
It was destiny.
for us to be there.
Mhm,
And in the midst,
mhm.
getting a chance to have fun, taking the subway, taking the
Oh,
bus, taking the trains, and
no,
just
it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It really
it
was.
was wonderful. So now you are an author, added to all of your
Mm,
titles.
mm.
Tell us about the book, Pastor.
Let me tell you, this book right here. I tell people I never started this journey to write a book. I'll be honest. I did not. Um, this was 3 years in the making. I love to write. I love to write. My husband often says when we were in high school and when he, went off to the military, I would often write long letters. I love, I love to write. I love to write. So I pretty much write my feelings down. I write down a lot. And so that's how this book came about. I just started writing. I had notes everywhere. I had spiral notebooks everywhere, and just writing. And I realized after about 2.5 years, um, I have something to say. I really do have something, you know. And I started going back through my notes, and it started making sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It really did. And the Lord just dropped in my heart that hey, this could bless somebody else. Somebody else
Yes.
needs to hear your story, right?
Look at
And so I did, and so I wrote that book, and it tells a story about me
that.
because me coming from the country, and being quiet, often being tagged as being shy. I waited for somebody else to tap me on the shoulder to say, girl,
Wow.
you can do this. You're good. You can sing. I knew I could sing, but I waited for somebody else to
Right.
validate in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I missed opportunities to do things that I know that God had destined for me to do. But I missed
Yes.
opportunities to do it, Coco, because I didn't just step out there and do it. I wasted
Right.
a lot of time waiting for other people to affirm what God had already affirmed and validated in my heart. And that's where this
Wow.
book comes from. That whatever God has already validated, He's already confirmed it. You just need to do it. So the book is do it. You don't need their validation. That's
Oh, I almost screamed. Oh my God, that's powerful.
yeah.
That's powerful right there alone. Do it because Pastor Sharon, you, me, it's a lot of people, probably everybody that's listening to this broadcast tonight have been in a situation
Yes.
where
Yes.
they require validation.
Yes.
And we miss opportunities because we were waiting for someone to tell us,
Mhm.
oh, you can do it, you good.
Yeah.
But when God has already put that in our heart, all we had to do is step out. So
Step out.
when you were writing this, when you were writing the book, putting everything together, was
Mhm.
there any doubt in your mind saying, I'll wait another year or
Yeah.
I'll wait?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I knew what was inside of me and I knew what I'd already written in the books, but the enemy will come back and try to speak to our minds and to
Yes.
tell us that we don't have it together, that you're not good enough to do this. You know, your book is not going to go anywhere. Your book is not going to sell. Nobody wants to read what you have to say. He will
Right.
always speak those things through our mind. But I had to continue to speak the word over me,
Oh,
and
gee.
there were mornings when I had to get in the mirror and look at myself and say, girl, you are wonderfully, fearfully made, fearfully
Yes.
made. And whatever God has placed in you to do, God has equipped you to do it, and He's giving you what you need to do. I would have to speak to myself. You know what I mean? So I did what
Mm-hmm.
David said. I encouraged myself to
Encourage
write this book.
myself.
I had to encourage myself to write this book and not wait for somebody else to do it. So yes, there were moments, but I had to push through. I had to
You
push
had to
through.
push through it.
I had
Oh
to
my
push through.
goodness. There's people in the chat asking where can they get the book?
You can get the book. It is on Amazon. You can go straight to Amazon. I also have a website, which is drsharonmccrimmon.com. You can go there. Or if you want to just inbox me, get on my Facebook page, you can cash out me. I'll send it to you, whatever you want to do. But it is available on Amazon. Easy to get. Easy to get.
Wow. And it's going to bless someone. I'm telling you. I mean, you all know that we get to that point.
Oh
And
my.
sometimes, Pastor Sharon, I get so mad at myself because I'm saying, you know better.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is your faith? Where
Yeah.
why would you let somebody come in and God has already equipped you, built you, anointed you? You know, I get upset with myself and just say,
Girl.
why would I
Yes.
let the enemy
Yes, yes, yes,
come in
absolutely.
into that?
Mm, absolutely. Because so you know what comes to my mind? The scripture says to speak to yourselves in psalms and hymns and
Mhm.
spiritual songs. That's what we have to do. We what God has given us. We use the hymns, we use the songs, we use the word to speak to ourselves. That's why He says that, and because it will encourage us and bring us to that place where we realize that it has, from the beginning, it has nothing to do with us anyway. That it's God that gives us the ability to do what we do, is the anointing on our lives. So
Yes.
we're nothing without Him. It's God
Without
that does.
Him. Right.
You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this comment. Some says they can. Mark says he can put it on the Pod TV bookstore. Thank God, to God be the glory. Put it there too for sale.
Right.
Pastor,
Right.
you said something about encouraging ourselves. I've seen working there in the train station. Hi, Georgette. Hi, Willie Mae. Thank you so much for joining. St. Paul's, are you in the house? Let us know. Let us know that you're in the house. But I see so many people that come in that are discouraged.
Wow.
They're discouraged. They are depressed. The mental health situation is real. Someone said the book is awesome. Oh my goodness. It helped her get through so much. Thank you so much for that comment. They already got the book.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Branch. Thank you. But I see that they're going through the mental health issues and just feel like they have no hope, no encouragement. I mean, so down. Pastor Sharon, what is a word? What is something that you can encourage and give them, even if somebody is on here tonight, you know, that's having that feeling and let the enemy get to them.
Yeah. You know, the scripture that comes to me that says, now unto him that's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. But it says, this is what we miss, according to the power that worketh in us. Yes. There is a power that God has already invested in us. And that's why the enemy fights us so much. He fights against what we have inside of us, because he knows that if we tap into what God is already, it says the word of faith is nigh thee, in your mouth. You can speak the word of faith over your life. That's why the enemy fights us so hard, because God has already given us the victory. It's already in us. And so what we have to do is have faith and exercise our faith to speak into our own lives, to speak the words over our own life. You don't have to have a pastor to speak over you. You don't have to have a prophet to speak over you. He says the power that worketh in you. You have what it takes. So encourage yourself. Encourage yourself. Speak the word over yourself. Instead of speaking doubt, instead of thinking about what isn't good, what didn't go right, buying into the thoughts that the enemy puts into your mind, you got to speak something different. And when you begin to speak something different, your faith comes into the atmosphere, and then things begin to move when you speak it. But you got to watch what comes out of your mouth. I don't care what you're feeling today. You may be feeling like God is not there, like God is silent, like things are not working, but you got to speak as if God is there. You got to speak as if you know what the word says about you. You got to do it. Speak it. Speak it. Speak it out of your mouth.
Oh, goodness. That's good right there, Pastor. The chat is going crazy. That's good right there. Speaking, the power is in our tongue. You know, what we say is what happens. I remember this young lady that came to me. She just wanted some, thank you, Terrence, wanted some encouragement. And I would just begin to encourage her. By the time, because when she came in there, she was down, she was depressed. By the time she left, you know, she was just happy and your spirit was up. And I think it's important for us leaders of ministry to reach out to people, and if you see it, talk to them. Don't let your sister and brother fall. Encourage them. Don't say, well, see, they got to get through it themselves. No, because if it haven't happened to you, it will.
That's right. If it has. And that is what we are here for. You know, this is thing, and I always tell people, this thing is bigger than you. It's bigger than you. And so we have got to realize that God placed us here to be a blessing in other people's lives. And the scripture that talks about, you know, we're hanging into the balance, and somebody's life is hanging by a thread, waiting on you to do what you're supposed to do, right? And so we are our brothers and our sisters' keeper. We are. So we can't be focused so much on what we're going through that we forget about somebody else. We forget to speak into somebody else's life. So we've got to do that too. That's why, as a pastor, some people say, Pastor, you are so involved in your people's lives. I make no apologies for that. None whatsoever. I believe the pastor should smell like sheep. They should smell like sheep, because they should be amongst their sheep, so that they can encourage their sheep and know their sheep. So we've got to be there to push people through. Yeah.
Oh my God. And that's what, you know what? I mean, I loved you since childhood, knowing you, we were family.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how my pastor is with me, you
Come
know,
on.
he knows his sheep, he supports.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Yeah.
saw how involved you were with Carolyn
Mm-hmm.
and just pushing her and support, I said, oh, that's it right
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
That's it right there. For one, you see the vision, you see her gift, you see the opportunity, and she was young, and you need somebody to be
Yeah.
pushing you, let encourage you, because the enemy, boy,
Come
he's
on.
something else. He'll show up as anything.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we
So
need to be there.
I love that about you. I saw something just a while ago. I said, "Uh-oh, she done took off her glasses. Now she about to go
Oh,
in."
girl.
To go in. There is a comment here saying that they said they was just talking to somebody the other day in an interview about that subject. Not the interview, it was about the power of HBCU radio. We have to recognize our role as mentors. That's exactly
Mhm.
right.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
mentors. I mean, it's important because you never know what people are going through in their life, and you can be that person, that trailblazer, and
That's
um, just being a part of their life. So, what would you say to someone, Pastor Sharon, that's they said, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready," because a lot of times, Pastor, we've been serving a long time, right?
yeah.
People come in, as baby
Mhm.
said, like microwaves. They want it right now,
Mhm.
right this instant. They want,
Yeah.
no, they want it right now. But what would you say to someone that says, okay, Pastor Sharon, all right, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to, just focus on what I need to do. I'm going to focus on what God has given me to do. But what would you tell them in a place where they're looking for tools? What do I do next? What
Mhm.
do I do next?
I first of all, the scripture says that if we acknowledge the Lord in all of our ways, that He will direct our paths.
Hmm.
And so we got to first put God in it. We got to first make sure that God is in it. We got to
Right.
acknowledge Him, and we got to ask God for wisdom, and He'll give you that. He'll direct your path. But
Right.
after you acknowledge God, then you got to do some work. Some people say, well, I'm waiting on God, but sometimes God is really waiting on us to exercise our faith. Um, you know, um, I didn't wait for things for the atmosphere to be conducive for me to write a book. I just started
Hmm.
writing. I
Right.
started
Right.
writing, right? And so you just got to do whatever you can do in the moment, and then leave the rest to God. That's what I tell people: leave the rest to God. But I'm
Yeah.
a practical person. I just believe that you have to do practical things. If you want to do something in life, you want to do something, then there are practical things that you have to do. You can't be lazy. You gotta do the practical work. You gotta get up in the morning and engage into things. You can't
Yes.
be around all day to 12 noon. Can't be lazy. If you need to, you can pick up a book, read a book, do
Right.
do be a part of the process, and God will do
Right.
the rest. Maybe you don't see it, maybe things aren't working out for you, but you know what? You do whatever you can do, and God will do the rest. He'll do the
Gotta
rest.
do the rest.
He'll do the rest, but you be faithful at what you can be faithful in. And maybe it's serving somebody else. Be faithful in
Ex-
serving somebody else. That's what I did. Serve
ex-
somebody else. And what you make happen for somebody else, God makes happen for you.
Come on, Pastor. That's the word right there. That's the word. Do it for somebody else, and God will make it happen for you.
Mhm.
I was seeing this comment in the chat. They were saying that I know that she talked about um, lifting people up. They would love to hear your thoughts about too many people, too many busy folks are tearing people down. They're focused on tearing people down instead of
Mhm.
lifting them up. They would love to hear your comments about that,
You,
about
you,
how
you,
people. Yeah,
you will never get anywhere by tearing other people down. Number one,
that's right.
you will never. I'm a believer that whatever you reap, you sow. Whatever
Woo.
you sow, you're gonna reap that thing. What you sow, you're gonna reap it. And
Yes.
so you don't want that against you. You don't want to tear other people down.
Right.
And I don't understand it when people tear other people down simply because when you look at, if you be honest with yourself, it's only by the grace of God that we are where we are. I cannot look at anybody and look down my nose at anybody,
Right.
talk about anybody else, tear anybody else down, because it's grace that kept me, right?
Yeah.
And so what?
Right.
How can I do that to somebody else? It's grace, it's mercy. I don't have a right to do that. And so I would tell people, build somebody else, love somebody else. The scripture says to seek somebody else's good before you seek your own, right?
Right.
Look on the things of others before you look on your own stuff. That's
Right.
what Jesus did. Jesus was never concerned about himself. He always pushed his disciples, even when they were wrong, even when they didn't do what they were supposed to do. He still,
Right.
because he saw their potential. He saw the day would come when they would do what they were supposed to do, when they would be faithful. So when in the times when somebody isn't doing what they're supposed to do, don't talk about them. Pray for them. Help them. Pray for them. That's what Jesus would do. That's what
Woo!
Jesus did.
Come on, Pastor, and she has spoken. Okay. Period.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
what I love. That's what I love. That was a word. Everyone out there, I thank you for all your comments. They said she on fire. Um,
Mm.
this is what I love. This is what it's all about. That's why I'm so grateful of the platform, because we can come on and share. We can share, ministry. We can promote. We can encourage, and you cannot. You want God to do something for you, but you won't do nothing for nobody else.
Uh,
That ain't. Come on now. You got to be better than that. So,
that's that's right.
I just want to encourage everyone tonight. I pray that you have listened to the nuggets that Pastor Sharon has given us, because it's so true, and it's the time. This is the time right now. Prayer is needed right now. Encouragement is needed right now. Loving on one another is needed right now. This is the time. This world is in. It's so much going on, Pastor Sharon, in this world. So
Mhm.
we as believers really need to come together and
Yes.
just help the people of God. Now, Pastor Sharon, how can people, we have your information running at the bottom of the screen here, but if there's more, how can they reach you? I know we could get the book through Amazon. You told us that information, but if they want to chat with you, talk about your church family, how can they reach you?
You can hit me up on my, you see my personal social media site, Facebook. You can hit me up. It's just Sharon McMillan. I'm on Instagram. I am Sharon on Instagram. Also, I would love to, if you want to, email is there. I'd love for you to email me at pastors for the letter 4 FTLC, pastors for TLC at gmail.com. Send us something there just to let us know that that you see us. If you need anything, need prayer, please hit us. You can do that. We would love to do that. Love to chat with you.
I love it. Shout out to the Life Center. Can you give us
Yes.
the address of the church?
Life Center, we are at 1059 Southern Avenue, Fayetteville, North Carolina, right in front of Massey Hill High School in Fayetteville.
See, y'all, you look, she even gave y'all the landmark, Fayetteville, St.
That's right.
Paul's, and Lumberton, the
Yes.
landmark. Okay, that's what I love it. I love it, Pastor. Thank you so much for coming on, blessing us. Shout out to Roz and Carolyn out there, all of the comments. Thank you so much. Any final words? Any final? And I know, Pastor, you heard Monet earlier.
Yeah.
The young lady that was on earlier, and her grandfather passed this evening, and she still came on with a smile, Pastor.
I made a note of that because I wanted to first give my condolences to her and also to say what a wonderful example of leadership.
Yes.
Because leaders, we have to go and do, even when we're hurting, even when situations are taking place in our families sometimes. But that's a true sign of leadership. And so I want to give her kudos and just tell her that there is so much that God has for her. And it just hit me when she said that. And the first thing came to my mind was, man, what a great example of leadership. Because she could have canceled, and rightfully so. Could have canceled.
Right.
Legit.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And I had no idea. Because when I said, how you doing? She's like, I'm okay. But she was still lifted. She was still, and then when she shared that, and I'm glad that even the song that we played in the beginning blessed her, and just to encourage her. And that's the thing, Pastor. We have no idea what people, okay, I'm getting hyped now. We have no idea what people are going through, enduring. So we have to be careful and wise.
Yes.
So again, thank you so much. Any final words? Anything would you like to say?
Yeah, I just want to tell people this. The name of my book is Do It. It's time for us to do what God has placed in our hearts to do. All of us have an assignment. Yes. You got to do it. You cannot wait for somebody else to validate you and to affirm you when you already know that God has placed it in your heart to do. Go ahead and do it. And I promise you, if you step out of that boat like Peter did, God will be there to catch you. Even in those moments when you fail, even in those moments when it seems like things are not working out. But if you just step out of that boat and do it, God will be with you. He's backing you up. So just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. No validation. I love it. Thank you so much, Pastor Sharon. God bless you. I love you, my sister. Thank you so much for taking this time, coming on the show and blessing us today. You are a jewel. Please give my love to your husband, your children, the Life family, our St. Paul family. We say what's up to you guys. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you. Whew, that was Pastor Sharon. Listen, make sure you get her book on Amazon. Just do it. You don't need no validation. Just do it. Make sure you follow her, support her, encourage her. The Life Center is located there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. You see her information here, so please make sure that you reach out to her. Also to Miss Monet Holder as well, and let's continue to keep her lifted up in prayer as she lost her grandfather. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching tonight. We're going to leave you. Willie Mae, thank you so much for joining tonight. We're going to leave you tonight with a good friend of mine. Has his new song out. Is a remix of God's Grace. He is the musical director for Asal Community Church there in Villa Rica, Georgia. His name is Teddy Wright from Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to leave you with his new song, God's Grace. As I say to you every week, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Shout out to Missioners Grove Baptist Church, Pastor Melvin Jackson, and First Lady Jackson. We love you here on the Coco McMillan Show, and we'll see you next week. Here is Mr. Teddy Wright, God's Grace.
How did I make it through all these years? How did I make it this far? Through the valleys and over the hills, I knew it had to be God. Yeah. How did I make it through the storm? Know just how I got here. It's so easy to explain.